Hi, welcome back. In this video today, I want to discuss with you the essentials and tips for IELTS listening module, which are very important for us to take care of if we are looking to score good. So before I start, I am going to share slides with you to make your understanding more clear and better about it. So let's get started.
So there is always going to be one listening test, which is very important for you guys to understand, be it academic student or the general student. There is no any difference. There'll only be one IELTS listening test. Now, the whole listening test is divided into four different sections, right? 1 to 40 questions are divided into four different sections. Section 1 is having two speakers, and the conversation which is being played or the context of the audio which will be played will be more of social. For example, if there is any student who is looking or inquiring to get enrolled in certain program or a course, is calling the admission officer to get more details about it, or maybe a customer who is looking to purchase something calling the customer care executives to know the details of the particular product. So that's how the section 1 is. In section 2, there will always be one speaker, and again, the context of the conversation which will be played will always be social. Third section and fourth section, I believe, are on bit of a difficult side in comparison to section 1 and section 2. Why so? Because the context of the audio that will be played will be of academic, not social. So section third mostly has more than, I would say, two speakers, generally three or four. So there is actually a group of people, or maybe a group of students that is depicted through the audio. Now that group can be discussing about certain assignment, maybe they are discussing about their visit to certain place, for example a museum or maybe a zoo, right? So that's how the audio tells you that exactly what the section is going to be about and what exactly the context of the section is. And then we have section 4, which in comparison to all the sections, that is 1, 2, and 3, is again a bit difficult, which students find, of course. Why so? Because it is always a monologue. There is always this one person who's delivering a lecture on a certain academic topic, and you have to listen to that lecture, that audio part very carefully, right? So that's the basic structuring of IELTS listening test. Now this is an example of how the questions look like on your question booklet, which you get, right? So there will always be a heading of, especially for section 1, there will always be a heading to it for your better understanding about the context of the audio which will be played. So as you can see, there are question number 1, and then we have the question number 2. If you read, you will be able to make a certain prediction out of it. Now it says express train leaves at, that means you have to listen to that part of the audio which will be telling you about certain time. And then we have nearest station. So nearest station is, which means now I have to listen to that part of the audio wherein I'll be able to locate a certain place, right? So that's how it is. After that, of course, as I told you that there are four sections of IELTS listening. There is a bit more to the basic structure of a listening module. Now, if we talk about the duration, it is total for 40 minutes in general, as how it is divided. For 25 to 30 minutes, the audio is played, and then after that 10 minutes you get extra to transfer your answers from the question booklet to the fair answer sheet which you will be getting in the examination. Now there are some basic essentials which I would want to discuss with you if you have started practicing on your own for IELTS listening test, or if you are about to start practicing for it. Number one is always practice on answer sheet so that you know how exactly you are supposed to accommodate your answer in, you know, those certain blanks. So I would strongly suggest not to use the registers or your notepads or your diaries. It is always advisable to go for the answer sheet, the real exam answer sheet. Then the another important thing, while you are practicing, always keep in mind that the audio will be played only once. No audio, no part of the audio will be repeated twice or thrice. It will always be only for once. Next, scores will always be decided by the number of the total answers you are getting, correct answers you are getting. Now, for example, if there are 40 questions, out of 40 questions, if you get 23 correct, that means 6 bands. If you get 27 correct, 6.5. If you get 30 out of 40 correct, that's 7 bands. And if you get 33 out of 40 correct, that's where 7.5 is. And if you, of course, are looking for 9 bands on the higher side, as of course it is, the more it is, the merrier it's going to be. So if it is 9 bands, then minimum 39 out of 40 you have to score. And last, very basic but very important, always try to practice using the pencil only. Why so? Because if you happen to make any error, make any spelling mistake, at least you'll be able to rub it and then rewrite it, which pen will not allow you to do so, right? So it is always advisable to make use of pencil rather using a pen. Now, while you are taking or practicing the IELTS listening, it is very important for you people to identify the question type as well, because that's how you will know what exactly is the part of the listening where you need to put in more of efforts. Because after a certain point of time, believe you me, there is no purpose of taking that cliched style of practice wherein you are just coming and then taking all the 1 to 40 questions in a regular style daily. So that is going to be of no use. You have to identify the question types, as in total there are 15 to 16 question sets which are reported, and out of those 15 to 16, I have highlighted two question types which, according to me, students generally find very difficult. Number one is the map, and number two is the multiple choice questions. So, until and unless you don't identify the question types, you don't have a specific approach towards that. Of course, it will be, bit difficult for us to score the desired band scores which we are looking for. Then in the listening, there will always be a narrator. Now, what exactly is the role of the narrator? To tell you how the listening is going to be and how the audios will be played, or what part of the audio will be played first. So, the narrator will always be there to navigate you through the listening. For example, uh, if there is section 1 which will be played first, and there are 1 to 10 questions in section 1, so the narrator will always tell you that now you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4, which means that you do not have to look or scan through all the 10 questions. It is very clear that the audio related to first 4 questions only will be played first. So that's what the narrator does. When it comes to transferring the answers now, it's important that you take care of small little things which can, if not directly but indirectly, again impact your scores. Number one, both lowercase and uppercase letters are accepted. However, sometimes what happens when we are in a hurry, a certain hurry of transferring the answers, we happen to miss out on certain little details. For example, if the answer was in a proper noun form and you transferred that proper noun in the small letters, including the initials also, then even if you have written the answer in correct spelling, you will still be getting zero for that. Then it is the singular or the plural. Now, by that, I mean, listen to the audio carefully. If the answer was cats and you wrote answer cat, again, you will be getting no scores for the same. So just make sure of the lowercase or the uppercase, whichever you are comfortable with. However, I would advise, just like I always advise my students, to go for the uppercase.
that is the capital letter, so that there is no room for any sort of confusion left if it is a proper noun or if it is a common noun, right? So next, do follow the instructions. Guys, instructions are very, very important, because that's where you get to know in how many words and how exactly you're supposed to transfer the answers, or maybe write down the answers. So instructions generally are of three types: no more than one word or a number, no more than two words or a number, and then we have no more than three words and or a number. So this is the example. If you write people, of course, this is a one word answer. If I have written beautiful people, this is a two-word answer. And if I write 10 beautiful people, that means it is fulfilling the criteria not just for this second set of instruction, but for this set of instruction as well. Because in total, though it is three words, because of course a number is also counted, right? So beautiful people makes for two words, and then we have 10, which is a number, right? So again, as I said, let me just reiterate myself. Please follow the instructions carefully. So next we have the skills which are required, very basic skills, but if not taken care of, can cost you your scores. So the first one is listening skills. Now by listening skills, I do not mean how good your auditory functions are, if you are able to, hear something or not. Basically, listening skills here mean if you are able to understand what you are listening to or not. Okay, so what you can do is you can go for a certain, a small, I would say, self evaluation. In YouTube search bar, just go for any video or certain audio in British accent, listen to it but without subtitles. Now if you are able to understand more than 50% of what is being said, that means you are having an intermediate level of listening skill. And by intermediate we mean 6 bands in IELTS, right? Then you have to have a certain understanding of a particular accent, and by particular accent I mean here is a British accent. Why so? Because more than 90% of the IELTS listenings are in British accent, so it will be very important for us to keep ourselves oriented to the British accent. Then it is the spellings, of course, very crucial. If you are going to get your spellings wrong, you will be marked a 0 for that answer. Then it's the singular versus the plural, which I already explained in the previous slide, along with the capital letters versus the small letters. So keep these things in mind while you are practicing. Now another important thing, after you have read the instructions of how many words or how many numbers you should be transferring your answers in, there's also one more set of instructions which is very, very important, and that is answering in word or a letter form. Now if the question instruction is asking you to transfer the answer in the letter form, that means in your question block or the boxes, you have to write your answers as A, B, or C, not as the words, that is good, bad, or worse, right? So just make sure of it, and make sure that you are scanning through the instructions really, really carefully. Now, the skills, the practice skills to improve your IELTS listening sitting at home as well. Now, if you are a student who has started, either has started or you're planning to start for your IELTS listening practice, first of all, it is very important for you to know the test. And by knowing the test, I mean all the inside and out. That is what the basic structure is, how many sections are there, what are the question types, and what kind of audio is played, what is the accent. So it is very important for you to know the test first. Then you have to have the strategy, for which you will have to identify the question type first, because strategy is always based on the individual question you are catering to. Another important thing, you have to understand one fact, that there are no tricks. Often students come to us and then they are like, okay, just help us with some certain tricks with the help of which we can secure or maybe score 9 bands. But as I said, there are no tricks, there are no short forms or no shortcuts. It's only the practice, and then it can be the tips, it can be the strategy, but not the tricks. No any short form. Now you have to understand one more important fact, that you do not have a the general orientation, I would say, or you're not in a habit of listening to a prolonged speaking or maybe an audio which is being played in English in your daily life. Either it is Hindi or maybe it is Punjabi. So it would be very important for you to take the first step, and that is to make yourself more and more oriented to the English language. You have to start listening to it, you have to start reading, speaking, and writing also. So, for that, for the listening part, you can actively start listening to the podcasts, the YouTube videos, but without subtitles, right? And certain TED Talks. So, if you are doing them religiously, I believe there'll be a remarkable improvement in your IELTS listening skills. And not just IELTS listening skills, but in general. Then you have to start taking the challenging papers as well. Now, why challenging papers? Because see, Cambridge series 1 to 15 are available, no doubt about the fact. But those Cambridge series are believed to have an intermediate to intermediate level. If you're not taking the challenging papers, for example, if some of you might have come across those listening tests wherein there are no gaps. Okay, for example, if the narrator said that, okay, now you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4, but then there is no time given. So, until and unless you are not practicing that, you are kind of jeopardizing your own performance by taking it for granted that the level which will be reported in the examination is going to be an easier one, right? So, you have to take the challenging papers as well along with that. So that's it. That's about it for the IELTS listening. And before I end the session, I might have missed out on a point or two, maybe. And if you feel that you still need certain assistance with this module, this one of the 4 communicative skills of IELTS listening, feel free to reach us and we'll be more than happy to help you. So, hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for joining.